Welcome to Creating Stuff. My name is Jim and welcome to my shop. Today in the shop, I'm working on a piece of four-wheeling history, which is this right behind me, a worn 8274 self-recovery winch. So this is going to be for my Inferno build. I've actually had this thing sitting underneath the workbench probably for a better part of 5 years. When I bought it, I was told it didn't work. So you know what? Since I'm getting ready to mount this on the truck, time to see what's wrong with it and fix it. So tell you what, let's get into it. Alright, before I start tearing into this, I want to go over a little bit of history about the 8274 worn winch. It was first introduced in 1974, and it is actually still in production today. The only difference between the model that was produced back in the 70s and 80s and the ones that are now is the ones now actually have half a horsepower more power in the motor. So sometimes they're called like an 8274-50 or something like that. So but yes, this is actually a very iconic winch. To put it in simple terms, I mean, when I first got into four-wheeling back in the 90s, you know how you have the stereotype of the man's man? Well, if you had one of these, you were the man's man, because these winches have outstanding performance. They hold 150 foot of cable along with a very high speed and high capacity. And speaking of that, about the capacity, this is actually considered an 8,000 pound winch, but the catch-22 of that is back in the 70s, they rated winches different than they rate them today. Is when you go buy a winch today, if you buy an 8,000 pound winch today, that winch is rated for 8,000 when you're down on the first layer of cable and the winch stalls, you hit your limit, that's 8,000 pounds. This winch here is the standard they had when they made winches back in the 70s, is that this winch is designed to pull 8,000 pounds all day long, meaning it can continuously, it can pull 8,000 pounds, that's its working limit, and then it actually stalls at 10,000 pounds. So that's the beauty part about these, is because it has a very high working speed and a whole lot of capacity. So and once again, for the smaller vehicles, like I said, this thing can work all day long and it's not going to slow down. And it's the very distinct shape is, these are often called upright winches because you have the motor on top, a gearbox with some spur gears going down to the drum. Like I said, Warren was the only company that manufactured a winch like this. And they even had a predecessor to this one called the M8000. They had the M8000 and M6000. And there's the same thing. That M8000 stalled at 10,000 pounds, could work at 8. The only difference between the M8000 and this one is this has an automatic load holding brake. And then it actually can it powers in and it powers out. Where the M8000, the motor was offset just with a side gearbox, but it only powered in and it did not have an automatic load holding brake. You actually had a cable on the dash, so when you stopped and if you were rolling backwards, you had to pull the cable to engage the brake. But I've had one of those M8000s for a lot of years. I think I still know who has it right now, and that thing was a workhorse. That thing just, I mean, that thing was great, except for not having an automatic load holding brake and be able to reverse it. That thing's a workhorse. So, but anyways, I finally got one for my Inferno build, and I've wanted one of these for a long time, and it took me a long time to get one. So I finally have one, and so tell you what, I'm done yakking for right now, so let me go ahead and hook a battery up to this, and let's see what it's doing, and then we're going to start tearing it apart and try to figure out where some of the problems are. So let's get to it. Alright, I got a battery hooked up with jumper cables, got the ground clamp on the case, and a remote. Let's see what happens. Ooh, not a good enough ground. Well, solenoids are hitting, motor's not turning. Well, we got some clickage, so tell you what, let me take this cover off and see what the inside looks like. All right, let's see where we got power at. All right, I got some solenoids firing, and I've got some current going through, but I think actually, by that reaction, I will definitely say I think there's an issue with the motor, which the person I bought it from said it was probably bad. So I think I got some solenoids that aren't the greatest either. So, but you know what? This box over here, I came with a brand new motor and a set of solenoids. So you know what? I guess I got to go ahead and pull this off and pull this motor off. So let me get to it. I'll bring you back when I got something to show you. Alright, I got the motor off. And to quote the famous Bob Ross on how there's no mistakes, there's only happy accidents. I didn't make a mistake, but I need to do it anyways. Because the motor came right out. The pinion gear for the motor dropped down in the case. So with that happening, I had to pull the top cover off in order to fish this out. So it is what it is. But as it turns out, the gear oil in here, everything's dry because this winch hasn't run in a while. But it looks kind of nasty in the bottom. So do you know what? Perfect opportunity. I'm going to flush this out so I can put some fresh gear oil in it. So it's all going to work well. So do you know what? And then the other side of it is I am going to assemble this motor on the top hat and then put that back on the motor case, just because that will be a whole lot easier. So tell you what, I'm going to get back to it. I'm going to show you, bring you back when I got something to show you. Alright, I got the gearbox back on, the motor back on, and I think the easiest way to do this was I pulled the free spool assembly out. So basically put the pinion gear in with the free spool assembly if I don't drop the pinion gear. So that's the lesson learned on this one, is when you pull the motor off an 8274, pull the clutch and the pinion out the side. Then you don't have to fish the pinion out of the bottom, so you don't have to take the case apart. So that is tip for the day. Now, if anybody was wondering, I'll talk a little bit about electric motors. Is this particular motor right here is called a series wound motor, and the reason it's called a series wound motor is because these two terminals right here are the base magnet of the motor, because you have the armature and the windings that spin around inside. This is the magnet that's on the outside of that. And then this does the armature. This actually goes through the brushes, through the commutator into the into the armature, and magnetizes the rotating part of the motor. So, and if you want to understand how this works, if you'd like a actual wiring diagram on how to depict on how this works, I'll be more than happy to draw one, write one and send one to you, if just send me an email at creatingstuffwithjim@gmail.com. And but for the most part, on how the series wound motor it works is the base magnet is completely isolated from ground. So if I put positive in this side and it comes out this side, and then you take, and the reason it's called series wound is because this electromagnet is wired in series to this one. So basically positive goes in here, it comes out here, and then it goes into that terminal. So that may be forward, and then to reverse it, you put the positive to this side, it comes out here, and then goes over here. So that's how you can change the direction of the motor. Now, a series wound motor, they generally have more torque and spin faster than a permanent base magnet. I wish I do have a permanent base magnet motor I would love to show you, is because it actually has the armature actually has 2 terminals on it, and that's all the motor has. So it goes in one way, comes out the other, and then you reverse it, and instead of having an electromagnetic magnet for the base magnet, it actually has a permanent magnet, more or less like a gigantic magnet you find on your refrigerator. And those motors don't put out as much power nor speed, but the big thing they do is they actually draw less current. The Ramsey Rep 8000, that was the very first winch I bought brand new back in the 90s. I still have it. It's up in the rafters. I'd love to pull it down and show it to you. Just it'd take a lot of work to drag that thing down just to show you it. But anyways, and how I said this winch was like the man's man winch back in the day. Well, unfortunately, I couldn't afford a man's winch back there, so I had a $400 Rep 8000, which is back then was the cheapest winch on the market. And you know what? I was happy to have it because I had a winch, and so meaning I can go do more four-wheeling and get myself out of more predicaments than if I didn't have one. So I was very happy for that. So the reality of it is, if you're looking at an expensive Harbor Freight winch that's costing you like $250, $300, and you just, that hurts. I paid $400 for a winch that has less performance. The Rep 8000 has less performance than the current Harbor Freight winches right now, which I do swear by the Harbor Freight winches, because I have several, and I love them, because the biggest thing is because they work well, and they're cheap. So, anyways, I'll tell you what, let me quit my yakking, and let me get this back together, get the solenoids, and I'm gonna find out if those solenoids are any good when I hook them up to the motor. So let me get back to work. All right, I got the motor hooked back up, and got the jumper cables hooked up. Let's see what happens. That's one way. Oh. Well, it's not working in the other way, so let's just take... Alright, that solenoid is fire, and these two here are the pair for the reverse, and that solenoid there is not working. So, you know what? I have a, where'd it go? Well, oh, right here. I have a whole nother set, so I think I am... oh crap. Well, I thought they were an exact match, but they're not. So, alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and take this apart, clean these up, and I got to replace that solenoid right there, and see if try it again. So, bring it back in a bit. Well, while I was cleaning the terminals up, I had an issue with another solenoid. This one was working until I touched it, and now it's not. So now I got to put another one on, which nobody in the region has one in stock anymore. So it will be tomorrow before I get one. So this is going to go on hold, but I'm going to go show you another issue I got to take care of on this winch. Alright, another issue I have with it is all winches are designed to have square captured nuts inside to anchor this. Well, somebody put regular nuts in there, and the only problem is they spin and they don't come out very well. So, and I got a mark right there. If you can see it, where someone took a reciprocating saw, hacksaw, and cut halfway through that bolt in order to break it, in order to get this out, since that nut was spinning in there. So I was thinking about welding it up and fixing that, but I think I'm going to run with it, see how that does. But I'm going to go ahead and make some square inserts so I don't have the same problem again. So they're a 7/16 size bolt. So let me go get a piece of metal, and I'm going to go to the milling machine and do some metal work. All right, this is the dimensions that I need with a 7/16 13 threads per inch, I believe. Anyways, go look at the tap. 7/16 bolt going through the center, square, just under a 1/2 inch. So I have some 1/2 inch plate I think I can make that out of. Let me get to it. Alright, I got all 4 of these little square pieces of plate cut. Now I have to find the center of it, drill a hole, and tap it. So to start off, I'm going to show you how I find the center of it. This is called an edge finder, and this is pretty neat how this is going to work. So we're going to fire it up, and basically when I move it in and touch, it's going to wobble around, and when it kicks out to one side, that's where I'm on the edge. So here we go. All right, that is on the edge of there. So I'm on the y-axis, so I'm going to come up to my DRO. I'm going to hit my Y0, zeroes that out. Now I'm going to come over to the other side, and I'm going to do the same thing. So now I'm on the edge of that. Come back up to the DRO. I'm going to select the y-axis, highlights that. Come down here. F3 is my half function. I press that. So now it just reset my 0 on the y-axis will be the center of it. Oh, that's about dead on. Well, that's about dead on centered as I can be. So, as you can see, that looks centered. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the y-axis. Alright, now that I'm all centered up, first step is I have a centering drill. I'm going to drill a pilot hole with a center drill, and I'll come back with the drill bit. Alright, now I got my center drill. Now I have the proper size drill for the 7/16 thread, drill bit size U, I believe it is. So now I'm going to drill this hole, and I'm going to show you one of the real benefits of having a Bridgeport milling machine, because yes, you can do this by hand. Yes, you can do it with a drill press, but this has a feature that others don't. Is because this right here is, because I actually have it has a power down feed, so it's actually going to power the bit down. You engage it here. This is your downforce speed, and this is your direction, and your engage disengage, and that really saves the life of drill bits. So I'll show you here. Let's go. Run it down. It's touching. See right here, that's turning. Pull that out. There, away you go. See? Look, Ma, no hands. There you have it. Nice and easy. Now ready to tap it. And just so you know, when I'll show you a little cheat I got, is when I change everything, I actually lower the table. I don't mess with the XY axis. And instead of using the crank handle, I got a drill adapter. I do it the easy way. Let me get set up to do the tapping. Alright, now I'm getting ready to tap, and I'm going to show you yet another benefit, because up here in the collet I have called a tap follower. That's spring loaded, and then if you notice in the back of the tap, it's got a little hole inside. So with that is I can actually set the tap in place, bring the quill down, center it up, and so now that's going to help keep that tap going nice and straight, prevent you from breaking a tap or anything like that. Well, I'm not going to bore you with tapping holes, so tell you what, I'll bring you back till I get something else to show you. Well, there you have it. Not too bad. I'm not a professional machinist, but the milling machine actually made those a lot easier to make, even for a jack leg. So anyways, now I'm waiting for that new solenoid to come in. So when I get that in, I'll bring you back, and hopefully should be able to put this winch all back together. So see you in a bit. Well, it has been a couple of days. I just got off from work, and on the way home I picked up the solenoid that came in. If you want a continuous duty solenoid, ST402. This looks just like a Ford starter solenoid from the 70s and 80s, but I promise you it is not. This is continuous duty because you're going to have your button on the winch for minutes at a time. If you use a starter solenoid off a Ford, you'll burn it up. Just FYI. Anyways, so let me get that back together, finish cleaning everything up, and let's see how this works. Alright, I got the 2 new solenoids in, and for the record, I'm going to probably order 2 more, replace those other 2, but I'm just ready to see if this thing works. I currently have it in free spool. I've got my battery cables hooked up, and let's see what happens. Well, it goes one way, goes the other way. Alright, let's tell you what, let's engage the spool. Well, that's good. Let's go reverse. Everything now works. And if you notice, this is the automatic brake, and basically when I hit it reverse, you saw the brake come apart or separate. This stayed in one place and it opened up, so to release the brake. So the brake's working, the motor's working, the gears are working. They sound pretty good. And one of the drawbacks of this winch is it generally gets pretty noisy. So, and you know what? I don't care about that. So, but once again, these are very, very high performance winch. Really, really amazing. So this is looking good. Well, I'm going to wrap this video up here, is because I got the winch all working. I am going to replace those other 2 solenoids that, or relays, whatever you want to call them, that haven't been replaced. I'm going to go ahead and order 2 more of those. I'm going to replace those. But the new motor works. The solenoids work. Yeah, the gearbox sounds good. I got fresh oil in it, resealed it. And I even made the missing square nuts that go in there that do the mounting. So tell you what, if you like this kind of content, please like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and please share this video with anyone who think might be interested or watch it, because I need the view. I would love to get more views. Like I said, because the biggest thing is I do these videos for you. Like I said, because I want to help you achieve more than what you think you can do. So anyways, I'll tell you what, well, I'm going to call it a day. So I will see you on the next one. Until then, be creative.